All right, so welcome back, everybody, to another episode of QuattroQuattroDos. Once again, Cristian over here. And today I have a special guest, somebody that actually I've been wanting to talk to for a while now because he seems to be like a somewhat of a local legend, what I would call him here in Houston in a way, even though he doesn't live in Houston right now. But just because of the way that he kind of like portrays himself in social media and stuff like that. But if you don't know him by the picture, this is the famous. Do we call you by your name, or do we call you by your?
You call me Andres. Foxtrot is okay. I don't
Yeah.
really mind.
All right. So we have Foxtrot here, Andres. So I wrote down a couple things that I know about you, and then you tell me which ones are good and which ones are maybe not right. But I have you as a dynamic Foxtrot, the Fox lover, Kevin Garcia's #1 fan, a journalist, Venezuelan, a writer, a Rocket Leaguer, a Reddit moderator, and the Dynamo guy. That's how I have you down. How about that?
That's all correct, yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. I want to talk to you because you're pretty. I mean, I don't know if the word famous is the word, but you're pretty well known in the Dynamo circle. You usually are the one with the breaking news, and usually a couple things quicker than most people. And you're just been around for a while. Since I got into the whole podcasting and the whole Dynamo world, like one of the first people that kind of popped up, that seemed to be like a reasonable person, not too like negative, but also, realist, and not to be like, hey, like we're the greatest, but, to be being real, whenever we're doing bad, we're bad. Whenever we're good, we're good. And also like you're knowledgeable, like, when it comes to like writing and like publishing stuff, and you're also like try to keep up with the team. So, but I wanted to like start from like the beginning. How did you like end up, because you're from Venezuela, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So how did you end up here in like the United States, in Texas or in Houston, or how did that happen?
Oh yeah. And first of all, thank you for having me on the show. It's been a while since I've been in a podcast. Other than that, the Argentinian radio show for the guys asking me about the club when Bahamich was coming in, and it's been a while. Obviously, the pandemic has changed a lot, and now I'm just glad that I could talk to you, and of course having an outreach with the Dynamo fans and Dash fans out there. How everything started, I initially moved to Houston back in 2010. I wouldn't say I wasn't a big of a sports fan as I am right now. Mostly because I was pretty much a kid still. I was right around 13, 14 years old when I moved in initially, and I wasn't really when I started looking at the teams that we had in Houston. Obviously, you had the Texans, Rockets, and the Astros. Obviously, doing pretty well, and it wasn't up until 2 years later, around 2012, when I started learning more about the Dynamo. And essentially, my first game with the Dynamo that I got to attend was pretty much out of luck, mostly because my father's friend had had gotten like 2 tickets for a playoff game, which was against Kansas City. I think it was leg 1 or 2 of the conference semis back in 2012, or yeah, 2012. And then the first time I won, obviously it was amazing for me, and from there on I just fell in love with the team, and like ever since then, like I felt that presence. Like I feel like emotionally attached with the team so much that like on a daily basis, like I for the most part, I always think about the team. I always think about the players, and I always think about like all the performances, how they do in every game during the off season as well. So like since then, obviously, I've been wanting to do something like related to it, to I would say like that to reaffirm my fandom kind of thing, obviously. And initially, it was supposed to be some kind of like a supporters group in Austin, when it started. It was called Bat City Battalion, and that was back when I moved to Austin for school back in 2015. And yeah, the first challenge I would say was that I was a minor, so I couldn't be at bars. So
Yeah.
that was the first challenge. So after that, I decided to do something else, and that something else was obviously when I rebranded to the Foxtrot, which is basically um, trying to communicate Dynamo news to the fandom, and not only Dynamo but also Dash when they also came into the picture, and later on RGVFC. Um, the product as it is today, obviously a lot of people know me either because they've seen me at Dynamo games or because I met them in person at Dynamo games or because of my presence on Twitter, which has been pretty nice overall. Like I've met a lot of great people like along the way, especially Webb Tilton. You probably know him. Everyone knows
Yeah.
him.
He'll
And
be on this podcast soon, hopefully.
yeah, of course, like he's the number one. Like I always say that he's the number one and he's the number two. And
Right.
like the way I met him, it wasn't first because of the Foxtrot or before then, but it's also because in 2014, I was a season ticket member for Dynamo, and I sat in the same section as Webb, and he sat a couple of rows in front of me, and like I always remember him handing me streamers like every single game. Like I didn't know him really well back then, so I got into like some small talks to him about the team or like other stuff really, but like obviously like those kinds of people like I really enjoy getting in touch either in person, obviously way before the pandemic started, and online. And obviously the Foxtrot has helped me a lot um, reach a bigger audience, but it's not the way I like it to be right now, only because number one I have to deal with school and a part-time job, which doesn't give me enough time to make the Foxtrot the way I like it to be. Like not only I would like it to just be social media, like I also extended it to blogging, but I'm not writing as much as I want to, and also want to um, consider bringing in like video or streaming at some point in the future. But as of right now, it's not the way I like it to be. But hopefully, I want it to be something else, like something bigger.
That's tight. That's tight. Funny story. I guess you can say I met Webb. I haven't met him. Like I said hi to him a couple of times, like this the same way you have, I guess. But also, like my first time ever meeting him was at my first Dynamo game. I went with my wife, and we sat in the section, web section, and he was handing out balloons. So it's pretty funny that
Nice.
it's kind of like a similar story.
Yeah.
But I was gonna ask you, so how did the name Foxtrot come about? Did you like randomly came up with it, or how does that come about?
It wasn't really random, but it makes reference to Diesel, the Dynamo's mascot, and the Dashes. Obviously, like a lot of people are attached to Diesel, and it's been a pretty easy decision to name it after Diesel. So, like a lot of people, like I also love foxes. Like I think they're awesome, and but mostly it was because of Diesel, and a lot of people love it. So it's been like that for the past 5 years now.
So I was gonna ask you. So you were talking about how your vision for Foxtrot, or the brand that you're trying to create. So where do you see like if you can share maybe some nuggets or something? What do you see yourself doing like in the future? How like you mentioned like videos or like maybe more blogging. I don't know what do you are you gonna become a YouTuber or something like that?
I would say like when I started the Foxtrot in like the first 2 years, I really wanted to do the podcasting, and it was pretty hard by myself, and also because of school and work in the way, and not having enough time to do it. So I had to step away from podcasting for the time being, and and of course I've been wanting to to try things around to see what I can do, because like I've been wanting to do something like even though podcasting is pretty nice, like I've been wanting to do something different, to I've been wanting to either do something with streaming or podcasting, and just to see what I could be doing like in the future. But I would say when I mentioned that time is not on my side right now, and it's been pretty hard. But like just thinking about what I want to do in the future, over the next couple of years or so, like hopefully I can bring something up. Hopefully less time, but I would say with the pandemic, the pandemic and everything, and yeah, like I've been like I'm just thinking right now, basically how I can make it interesting, how can I make it engaging for everyone, and not only for Dynamo fans, but also try to make it engaging for casual fans just looking at the Dynamo, or not obviously as a hardcore fan like me or the others, but hopefully make it engaging for everyone. That's my goal.
Gotcha. How hard is it for you to be like extremely like very into the Dynamo and like Houston things when you live in Austin? Does that make it extremely hard, or do you find it not that hard?
It is pretty hard. Obviously before the pandemic started, just traveling to Houston, making the commute down there, and back to Austin, it's pretty annoying. Like even though the drive it's only 2.5 hours, the entire commute, like going to Houston and back to Austin, like usually takes me around a combined, I will say 5 to 6 hours, depending if I stop by or not. And obviously during the season, that may be kind of an inconvenience, only because of work and making sure you have all the schoolwork done before you go. And obviously, if you want to stay, like depending on how late the games end, like even though that's not the issue, because I have friends that are really helpful and let me stay at their place for the weekend or something like that. But it's a pretty big disadvantage, only because I don't get to go to all the games, and I don't get to go to all the events they have or practices, which my goal is obviously to go to all of them. But obviously I couldn't be doing that. And of course there's a pandemic now, and and traveling is barely possible. My last Dynamo game was the last year's home opener, and like and obviously not getting into the games is not hard for me, because I do get the season credentials, but for both Dynamo and Dash. But it's just that just making the plans for each and every weekend, assuming that there's no pandemic, it's hard as it is, and obviously there's a lot of costs involved, like depending on my job and school.
For sure. And now that Austin is getting a team, have you thought about, like, I don't know, making a switch, or are you gonna stay faithful with the Dynamo? And also, going into that, how do you see like the culture changing in Austin now that it's becoming like a soccer city? Maybe it was, but it wasn't as known as it is now with an MLS team.
Oh yeah, I'm not switching, first of all, obviously, and honestly, I'm only pretty excited because of if you want to call it a rivalry already, like I don't know, but it could well be like in the next few years. And I'm really excited for it. When I came to Austin, I've been really wanting to watch the Aztecs play, which they used to be Austin's USL team, but as soon as I moved in, they folded. Wait, no, they didn't fold, but they moved to Orlando, to be Orlando City. And so it's been actually, like, when I moved in, it's been also like a couple of years without soccer, up until Austin Bolt came in. And so I've been going to Austin Bolt games casually, just to see how they played, and also the stadium, which is right inside a Circuit of the Americas, the F1 track. And I thought the experience was pretty unique, only because you have to park outside the track and make your way in on foot, which was pretty interesting. And like just thinking about the stadium inside the track is pretty neat. And like I've been obviously been talking to a lot of people here in Austin, and like I've been like I believe that it can be like a really neat soccer city. Like a lot of people have been saying it could be a lot like Portland. Like I think being like Portland is um maybe exaggerating right now, but I would say that it's a city that can be a strong when it comes to soccer because of them being the only professional sports team
Yeah.
in Austin, and because obviously not a lot of people here are UT fans, and there's nothing else like in sense of sports. Like not everyone wants to follow UT, and like they have a pretty good opportunity to like obviously pre-court took advantage of the situation and make sure everything is going right as of right now. Like they're making all they're splashing all the money they have. Obviously, like just being an expansion team by itself, it's a pretty big advantage like over older teams like the Dynamo because they have all the resources the Dynamo didn't have back in the day. And like honestly, like I'm pretty much looking forward to it. Obviously, I'm hoping to watch the Dynamo play in Austin. I'm gonna go to all their games, and that's probably the only reason I'm gonna go to their stadium just to watch the Dynamo play. And like I can always watch Austin FC on TV. Hopefully they get a pretty good TV deal to watch them, or if not, I can just watch them on ESPN Plus. But like it's like obviously just like actually my family has been like teasing me with me switching to the to Austin FC, but I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, you would hurt a lot of people's feelings if you do, man.
Yeah, I'm not like that. No.
That's good. That's good. So going into the whole like being is it your goal to be a journalist? Are you going to school for that, or am I just tripping?
So you're somewhat right, really. I'm like I did get my associates in journalism, but I'm getting my bachelor's in communication. So I'm seeking a career in either field, whichever I find pretty useful, and the one I enjoy the most, really. And like as of right now, it's pretty far off, and I would say that like the Foxtrot has been obviously kind of of a side gig as of right now, but like over time, like it's like it's been a part of me. Like it's been helping me develop mostly because I've met a lot of people on the way, and obviously because when I get all the press credentials for to go to all the Dynamo and Dash events and games, like it helps me develop towards being either a journalist or a better communicator, and just understanding what the fans are going through, especially in this like during this period of time when the Dynamo are pretty interesting in the sense of what happens on and off the field and with the rebrand and all that.
Yeah.
And like it's just interesting to see how everyone is reacting to whatever happens with the Dynamo. So like honestly, I feel pretty confident to see what's next. Obviously, with like potentially new ownership coming in this year, and you'll see how Tab tries to turn the team around with what he's got. And now I mean like whatever happens down the road with all the experiences I'm gaining and with after school, I'll see how it goes.
And before we get into the whole like soccer, like more specific, like team wise, let me
Yeah.
ask you some like random questions. So like when it comes to going back to kind of the journalism part, because you are usually like, let's just say something pops up, and I honestly, me myself, I go to your page to like verify that like if it's real or not. How did you come about into like having like good sources, because a lot of people are like, hey, like, and like Glenn Davis, he's like, oh, an inside source told me this and that, and stuff like that. And I find it like it's funny to me because I just feel like somebody on the inside is like giving them a call, hey, I'll tell you this, but don't tell anybody, just post it as anonymous or whatever. How do you get your information? How do you go about of like being um I don't know, like one of the first ones to get information to I don't know, being trustworthy, or do you have connections or something like that? How does that work on your side?
It's both easy and hard. Obviously, you have to reach out to other people, not only people like inside the league, but also outside the league. And usually, people that are outside the league are easy to reach out to. Oddly enough, at least in my experience, I found it to be a pretty reliable sources. Like especially those that are outside. When Bahamich came in, somebody in Argentina reported as a rumor, so I had to reach out to him and other people that were close to him, and then it happened, and those kinds of calls, obviously, when you report stuff like that, it's pretty hard, especially for people that are pretty much independent, like the Foxtrot. Obviously, people like Len Davis and Lester.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know him. He works for. He also does like the Spanish radio for Dynamo. He like those kinds of people get the information faster because they work within the Dynamo. And for people like me, since I essentially don't have people inside the Dynamo organization, like it's pretty hard for me to get reliable information immediately. So I have to seek it out, and obviously that's when connections come in. Obviously, you have to establish a consistent connection with someone you see as reliable and has gotten information right in the past. And obviously, like for me, like I've made mistakes in the past, but over the course of time, I've improved my the way I verify information to make sure it's correct. Like sometimes it's rumors, like you're saying rumors by themselves is okay, but you have to tag them as such. Obviously, you have to mention that it's not confirmed or somebody just tweeted it and you just retweeting it just for visibility, even though it might not be right. But like as long as people are correctly informed, I still think that that's what matters to me. And obviously we all love rumors, but like it's like sometimes pretty hard to just verify them by themselves.
Gotcha. That's cool. That's interesting because it kind of shows how much work like you're putting into the whole into building your brand and building like that connection with the fans. So it's cool to know that you're actually working hard. And also the last thing before we get into like the soccer questions, how did I don't know if if you do it as a parody or whatever, but how did your love for Kevin Garcia come about? What is that all about?
Oh, Kevin Garcia is probably the best player the team ever had. I'm joking.
Hands down.
Like honestly, like when he came in, that was back when Will Cabrera was in. Like he was a unique figure in the sense that he wasn't like he seemed like he is a pretty nice guy. Like I did get to see him. I didn't get to meet him personally though. But like I did get to see him several times and just between like the inner circles I have, like especially people that follow Dynamo like me, we will like joke around, say, "Hey, Kevin Garcia, save the game. Kevin Garcia is our god," and like I would say it became a kind of a parody. So I decided to make it a parody, and people liked it only because Kevin Garcia is pretty weird, and he won an Open Cup with the Dynamo, so he already has more trophies than probably like the entire team right now.
That's funny. But yeah, that's a funny gig. Every time I see it, I crack myself up just because some people like don't get it, like that, it's a joke, and they get so mad. They're like, "Oh, I'll put Kevin Garcia this and that and this." And it's like, dude, it's a joke.
Yeah, this is
Calm
a joke.
down. But yeah, so going back into the whole soccer, like into the actual team. So first of all, what are your thoughts about the rebrand? How did you feel about that? Did it hurt a little bit to see the old logo kind of fly away?
Yeah, like it only hurt somewhat only because to me the rebrand was kind of unexpected. Like I thought the rebrand was gonna come in like the next 5 or so years, because the crest itself is kind of outdated, and I felt like the soccer ball is kind of necessary. But like there were some elements I grew attached to, like since I started following Dynamo. But the new crest, I don't hate it, but I always thought like it could have been better. But like obviously, when I went through all the material to see what the hexagon meant, and like all the work that went through it, like I thought that the crest like might grow on me over time. But like I said, I don't hate it. Some people don't like it as much as I do, which I respect really. But I thought compared to other rebrands that happened in the league, we got the good one. If you see like a team like Nashville or Chicago, which they're changing there soon, and I would say New England, like the only one remaining.
Yeah,
Like
old school,
I,
old school.
like the Dynamo have like a pretty good crest compared to other teams here in MLS, and like the thing that I appreciate the most is uniqueness. Um, like I'm glad that it's neither a shield or a circle, which I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I have it here. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. You know, it's like it's one of those things. It's like, oh, okay, well, it'll grow on time. So now let's get into a couple of soccer questions, and then we'll let you go. Is there any players that you're looking forward to either seeing back or to seeing in the team again? Anybody that you're excited about?
I'm really excited to see what's obviously like it's kind of hard to see which player I'm looking forward to the most right now, only because Tab Ramos obviously has to deal with whatever he's given, and
Yeah.
like I've noticed that he he let a lot of pieces go this offseason that were not needed, and in this particular season that we're coming in, we only have, as of right now, only two center backs, which is obviously worrying. Like obviously they're gonna fix it in the next couple of weeks, but I just like one of the positions I've been looking forward to the most was obviously the back line. Like Vermeer's gonna be back, which is obviously my Venezuelan player, which I love. And obviously McHugh. Like I've been looking forward to McHugh the most, just to see what kind of player he's gonna become, and if he's gonna turn out to be another successful homegrown like Memo. And obviously Junqua, like he's like like my surprise from last year, since I really like the way he plays, and I've been pretty much impressed that Tab like plays him a lot. Like I wouldn't say a lot, but like consistently, like closing like when the season was coming to a close, and I just hope to see him more often, and obviously Bahamich coming in, and just to see how Tab plays Corona is gonna be interesting as well, and obviously Memo, just to see if he's still that catalyst, somewhat playmaker, like on midfield. Hopefully, along with Quintero, we'll see.
And how far do you see us going?
Mm, I would say getting close to a playoff spot, but just coming up short. Just based on, but which is just a complete guess, because like just predicting MLS, it's difficult in itself, and like hopefully they can make playoffs. Um, and there's no way they can get worse from last year, because they ended up last place in the Western Conference, and
Yeah.
I mean they can always win the wooden spoon, but I doubt that really. And
Yeah.
like as long as they fill up the back line with actual defenders, we should be good.
Yeah. And what can we expect of the Dash, in your opinion?
They're playoff caliber. I mean
Yeah.
they can go to the playoffs if they want, and the final as well. Like if they feel like it. Like they're pretty much stacked really. They did Um, they did lose a couple players like this offseason that may be key, like to have a consistent squad like every week, especially if we're considering COVID. If they could be playing 2 games per week, which could be an issue, but obviously they're proving it and they have kept most of the squad, so they should be making playoffs like easily.
And lastly, since you kind of have been keeping up with RGV, how did you think about the whole independence of RGV and also like the whole playing of the US Open Cup and the USL? How do you think they're gonna turn around and do?
I think it's great that they essentially gave the keys to RGV, only because it's been 5 years since the partnership started, and the only success was 2016, which was the first year. And obviously, Wilmer Cabrera, when he was the head coach back then, like he built a pretty good team, and they did, and he led them to the only playoff appearance they ever had, and obviously from there, like I was expecting them to either give more minutes to the Dynamo Academy players, more Toros Academy players, but it was kind of a mixture of experienced players and some academy players, and like over the past couple of years, like the product like on the field with essentially what they were given, like it wasn't enough to compete in USL, and they were basically in the cellar for the next couple of years or so, and which was pretty disappointing to see. But you can obviously see that it was because of like there was nothing wrong with the partnership or the coaches that were bringing in. So like I'm pretty glad that they control their soccer operations, and like that's gonna give them enough of room to build up a competitive team. And and I hope to see them in play in the Open Cup and go far. They're obviously gonna play the Dynamo in the foreseeable future, or at least I just hope they beat FC Dallas. Like that's what I hope.
Right, for sure. Anything but FC Dallas. Beat every. And then last thing, the poster you have behind you, not the VVVA one, the other like directly behind you. What stadium is that? Because
So
I
that's
saw it on your thing too, on your personal page that you have it, right?
Oh yeah. That's the same. That's the same one. It's basically both Olympic Stadium and baseball stadium back in my hometown in Caracas. Yeah, that picture was taken in the 50s, and like it's pretty nice. Like it's a picture I really like only because I love sports, and I wasn't when I grew up in Caracas, I wasn't a big of a soccer fan as I am right now, but I always went to the baseball games, and like baseball is essentially a culture in Venezuela. So I grew up with baseball, and then when I moved to Houston, like it's been pretty much soccer, and so like it's a picture I'm pretty much attached to. So I think it's pretty nice.
Cool. That's what's up. So you're a Nationals fan, I assume?
Of course.
Yeah, good. All right, cool. All right, man. Well, I don't know if you want to just let the people know where they can find you, if they can reach out to you, where, all your social media and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure they know by now, but if you want to go ahead and shout yourself out.
Yeah, of course. I'm pretty active on Twitter, so at Dynamic Foxtrot is my handle. That's where I'm the most active. That's where I give out the most updates as soon as I get them, or other interesting things related to the Dynamo Dasher Toros. And yeah, my DMs are always open in case there are questions. And
cool.
And of course, yeah.
And as a fan, I would say go and follow the Dynamic Foxtrot, because you will get literally all the information that you may ever need about the Houston Dynamo, the Dash, or the Toros. Like literally, me, myself, when I have a question, the first page I go to is yours. So, so go check him out, go follow him, and, go, like I was going to say like and comment, but you don't really do that, I guess. But yeah, go follow his stuff and, just say what's up. And thank you, Andres, for coming on the show. Thank you for, taking some time out of your day, and hopefully, we can see more Foxtrot in the future, and, everything gets better and better for your career or whatever you're working on in the future. And, nothing but the best for you, man.
Christian, thank you so much for having me on the show, and hopefully you take care of yourself, especially right now.
Yeah, I know. All right, brother. Be safe. Have fun, and please don't become an Austin fan.
Definitely not.
All
Take
right,
care.
brother. Later, man.